The neon lights of the alien bazaar blinked and buzzed like a confused rainbow. Ethan stepped carefully through the busy crowd, trying not to bump into any of the taller, spikier aliens. His shuttle to Earth had been delayed for 5 hours. Now, stuck on the planet Korzek, he decided to explore the city square to kill time. He didn't mean to wander so far. One wrong turn, one narrow alley, and suddenly he was no longer surrounded by friendly market stalls or music. The colorful banners were gone. Now the walls were metal and cracked. The air felt heavy and the crowd had thinned. Strange figures moved in the shadows, silent, watching. Okay, Ethan muttered. Not the souvenir section. He pulled out his wristcom. No signal, not even GPS. A low growl echoed from behind. He turned quickly. 3 aliens, hooded and tall, stood in the alley. Their eyes glowed faint yellow. They didn't speak. They just stepped closer. Ethan raised his hands. Look, I'm just a tourist, lost, no money, just snacks? The middle alien hissed and flicked open a blade. Ethan froze. That's when she appeared. Stop, came a soft but commanding voice from the side. A girl stepped out from the shadows. She was alien, yes, but different. Her skin shimmered with violet and blue hues, like a smooth ocean at night. She had feline eyes and sharp ears. A long scarf covered part of her face. Her tail swayed lazily. She looked at Ethan, then at the thugs. He's mine, she purred. Back off. The hooded aliens hissed again, but slowly lowered their weapons. One spat on the ground. Then they disappeared into the dark. Ethan blinked. Thanks? The girl turned and grabbed his arm. Come, now. Too confused to argue, he followed. She moved fast, pulling him through back routes, jumping over low fences, sliding under old beams. They finally stopped near a glowing fountain in a quiet part of the city. There were no crowds here, just humming lights and floating dust. Ethan panted. Okay, whoa, what was that? She let go of his arm. You walked into Fang Alley. It's a no-go zone, tourist. I noticed, he said, still catching his breath. You saved me. Thank you, but why did they listen to you? The girl tilted her head, amused. Because I told them you're my grr. You're what now? She smiled. My grr. Is that a name? A pet? A dish? She laughed softly. It means something different here. A connection, like deep bond. Growl of heart. Ethan's brain gave up. So, I'm your what? She stepped closer, eyes glowing under the light. My grr, she purred again. Lady, I don't even know your name. She nodded. Kyra. And you are mine now. At least, for today, Ethan backed up. No offense, Kyra, but I think there's been a huge mistake. I didn't agree to anything. Kira's smile faded slightly. You growled. I coughed. In my culture, she said, crossing her arms, that sound means challenge accepted. You answered my purr with a growl. The bond has begun. He stared. You're joking. No. Ethan looked around. No cameras. No hidden prank drones. This is some weird alien misunderstanding, right? But Kira was serious. You must follow me now. Others saw. They'll test you. Test me? For coughing? She nodded. To prove you're worthy. He laughed nervously. I'm a janitor. Kyra. I mop floors on space stations. I'm not some chosen warrior. Doesn't matter, she said, turning. They don't care what you were, only what you become. She walked ahead, tail swaying. Ethan stood still. He could turn and run, try to find security, or stay and follow this strange, glowing-eyed girl into whatever madness was coming. He sighed. Wait up, he said, jogging after her. But first, can you explain what a grr really is? Kyra glanced back, her lips curling. You'll find out, she whispered, when you purr back. And Ethan, lost tourist of Korzek, realized one thing. His simple layover just turned into the weirdest adventure of his life. Ethan followed Kira through narrow paths lit by glowing moss and hanging lamps that floated in midair. The crowd had faded behind them. Now they were in a quiet zone, full of strange carved symbols and giant statues shaped like beasts with wings and claws. "Okay," Ethan said, walking faster to catch up. "I've had time to breathe. I'm calm now. Can you finally tell me what a grr really is?" Kira didn't stop walking. "It's not something you explain, it's something you feel." Ethan groaned. "Please don't go all space mystic on me. I'm just a janitor, remember?" Kira finally stopped. She turned and looked at him. "Then why did your growl match the old tone?" "I didn't growl. I coughed. Dry air." Kira tilted her head. "It doesn't matter. Others heard it. You answered my call now. Things are in motion." Ethan sighed and looked around. "Where are we going?" "To the Temple of Echoes," she said softly. "Where grrs are judged." "Judged? Like court?" "No thanks, I didn't sign up for this." Kyra stepped closer. Her face was calm, but her golden eyes glowed. "Listen, human. You made the sound. You looked at me. You stood your ground when they attacked. You stepped into the bond, even if by accident." Ethan raised his hands. "I wasn't being brave, I was frozen in fear." Kira smirked. "Doesn't change what they saw." Just then a small creature, round with 6 legs and crystal fur, scurried across the path. It looked at Ethan and gave a tiny chirp. Ethan flinched. "What was that?" "A watcher," Kira said. "They report to the old houses. They already know where you are." "Oh, great," Ethan muttered. "Alien paparazzi." They reached a large gate covered in symbols. 2 guards stood, tall, covered in silver armor. One looked at Ethan and frowned. "This is the one?" the guard asked, voice deep and rough. Kira nodded. "He's mine," he answered. The guard stepped aside. "Then let the test begin." Wait. Ethan tried to protest, but Kira gently pushed him forward. Inside, the temple was huge. The walls were carved with images of battles, beasts, and glowing symbols. A soft hum filled the air like a low song made by stone. Ethan whispered, "This is a sacred place, isn't it?" Kira nodded. "Only those called as grr may enter." Ethan looked at the carvings. Some showed humans, real humans, fighting, alongside alien warriors. One human had his hand on an alien girl's shoulder. They were both roaring at the sky. "Hold on," Ethan said, pointing. "That's a human. That's us." "Yes," Kira said quietly. "Long ago, your kind were here, but something happened. You left, or were taken away. Some believe grr bonds were broken that day." Ethan stared. "So you think I'm... what? A descendant? A lost warrior?" Kira shrugged. "Maybe. Or maybe the bond simply woke again, through you." Ethan rubbed his face. "This is too much. I just wanted a soda and some space chips." Suddenly, a gong echoed through the temple. The ground trembled lightly. Doors opened ahead, revealing a glowing chamber. Kira looked at him. "This is the first test. You enter alone." "Test of what? Strength? Bravery? Smelling good?" Kira smiled. "Test of instinct." "Wonderful," he mumbled. "I've got great instincts. That's why I got lost in a back alley full of muggers." She touched his shoulder. "You'll be fine." He looked at her hand, then into her alien eyes. Something in them felt warm, strangely safe. He stepped into the chamber. Inside, the walls were smooth and glowing with strange colors. No enemies, no weapons, just a large round room and a pedestal in the center. On it was a box. Ethan walked forward. A voice echoed, soft, deep, and alien. "Only one truth is needed. Open what calls you." The box had no lock, no buttons, just carvings. Ethan slowly reached for it. One side burned cold to his fingers. Another side pulsed warm. He moved his hand to a side with a strange humming sound. It vibrated like a purr. He opened it. Inside was a simple crystal, floating, spinning. It glowed the same color as Kira's eyes, Suddenly the room shook. The crystal flew into the air and stopped inches from Ethan's chest. It pulsed, then vanished, into his skin. Ethan gasped. What the heck? The doors opened. Kira stood there smiling wider than before. The bond is real, she whispered. You answered the purr. Ethan looked down at his chest. It felt warm, alive. I didn't mean to, he said. She only laughed. Doesn't matter. Now, everyone will know. The temple bell rang again, 3 times, slow and heavy. It echoed through the stone halls like a warning from something old and forgotten. Ethan followed Kira in silence. He kept touching his chest where the crystal had disappeared. It didn't hurt, but it felt strange, like something alive was now inside him. Not a voice, not a thought, just a quiet vibration, like a cat purring beneath his skin. Kira led him through a grand archway into a wide hall. Massive statues stood on each side, each carved with alien warriors holding strange weapons. Some had wings, others tails. Some even looked like they had Earth-like armor. But what shocked Ethan most, was that one of the statues had a human face. Is that? Ethan pointed. Kira nodded. The first human. Long ago. But no one talks about that in human history, he said, eyes wide. We don't have records of this. She looked at him. Maybe your leaders buried it. Or maybe you forgot. Before Ethan could reply, they reached a round chamber. A circle of tall elders stood around a glowing fire pit. All had different skin, scales, feathers, fur, but all wore robes with the same symbol, a spiral with a growl mark through it. Kira pushed Ethan forward gently. An elder with silvery horns spoke first. You stand in the Hall of Bond. You have answered the purr. Do you accept the ritual of Ethan gulped. What happens if I say no? Another elder growled. The bond cannot be undone. Refusal means dishonor. Death, maybe. Ethan frowned. No pressure. Kira stepped beside him. Don't worry, I'll guide you. He looked at her, eyes narrowing. Why are you helping me? Really? Kira didn't answer for a moment. Then she whispered, because I was born with no bond, no connection. They said I'd never find a grower, but when I saw you, my heart growled. Ethan blinked. That's either the weirdest or the sweetest thing anyone said to me. The horned elder lifted his hand. Let it begin. A drum started beating, slow, deep. It shook the air. A side door opened and a long platform rose from the floor, covered in stones, puzzles, and alien artifacts. Ethan whispered, What is that? The trial path, Kira said. It tests instinct, courage, and heart, not strength. Oh, good, Ethan muttered. I've got at least one of those. He stepped onto the path. First, a puzzle. Symbols floated in midair. The voice from earlier returned, echoing through the chamber. Which symbol sings with your pulse? Ethan held out his hand. One symbol glowed when his fingers neared it. A circle with a jagged tail. He touched it. The air shimmered and the path let him pass. Next was a wall of wind, sharp, cold, pushing him back. Keep walking, Kira shouted. Ethan covered his face and moved forward step by step. The wind howled louder, but he didn't stop. At the end, he saw a shape, a small alien child crying. Was it real? A test? He walked faster, shielding the child with his body. As soon as he touched her, the wind stopped. The child faded into light. The elders murmured. Then came the last test. A large beast appeared, holographic but detailed. It had 6 legs, sharp claws, and yellow eyes. It roared. Ethan panicked. You said not strength, Kira called out. Remember the growl. Answer it. The beast roared again, louder. Ethan's heart raced. He took a deep breath, then shouted, not in words but in frustration, fear, and pure instinct. Grrrr. The roar echoed like thunder. The beast paused, then bowed its head. The room fell silent. The drums stopped. The horned elder stood. It is done. He has awakened the ancient Growl. Another elder whispered. The blood remembers. Kira ran up to Ethan, eyes wide with joy. You did it. You didn't run. You didn't hide. You growled. I didn't think, Ethan said, still shaking. It just came out. She touched his chest. That's what the grr is, not thinking, just feeling. The crystal's warmth returned inside him. Then from the back of the room, a new voice spoke, cold, sharp. This is madness, said a noble alien with deep green armor. He's not one of us, he's a janitor. He doesn't deserve the bond. Kira's smile faded. Lord Vex, Vex pointed at Ethan. He will bring shame, war. The grrr bond must be pure. The horned elder raised a hand. He passed the test, Vex growled. Then I challenge him, trial by combat, one-on-one. Ethan stepped back. Wait, what? I just solved a space puzzle and yelled at a hologram. Vex's eyes glowed. Then die with honor. Kira stepped in front of Ethan. No, he's under my protection, my bond. You'll have to fight us both. The room gasped. Vex's lip curled. So be it, Ethan whispered. What did I just get myself into? Kira smiled at him, proud. Into something ancient, something powerful, and maybe something dangerous. The Hall of Bond emptied fast after the challenge was made. The elders left without a word. The floating lights dimmed. Only Ethan, Kira, and Lord Vex remained in the silent chamber. Ethan sat on a smooth stone bench holding his head. This is insane. I just wanted to grab a soda and wait for my shuttle. Now I'm in a death match with a lizard in armor. Kira stood beside him, arms crossed. He's not just any lizard, he's a noble. His family has led battles for centuries. That's supposed to make me feel better. No, but it means we can't run. Ethan looked up. Kira, I'm not a soldier. I've never even punched anyone. I clean floors. She leaned closer. The trial of combat isn't always about strength. There are rules, tricks. If you think smart and you can win. He stared at her. Why are you still helping me? Kira's eyes softened. Because you're not like the others. You saw me, heard me. When I purred, you didn't laugh. You listened. Ethan blushed. I thought you were having a throat issue. She grinned. Still, you didn't walk away. Footsteps echoed through the hall. A guard approached. The arena is ready. The challenge begins at first ring. Ethan stood, still shaky. What happens if I lose? Kira's voice lowered. Your bond is broken, your name forgotten, and you probably die. Ethan swallowed hard. Awesome, great. Can't wait. They were led through a long tunnel, its walls glowing red with ancient energy lines. Symbols lit up as they passed, responding to Ethan's presence. The guards watched him with confused eyes, half curious, half doubtful. At the end of the tunnel, heavy doors opened, revealing the trial arena. It was massive, circular, walls carved with battle history. Alien nobles filled the upper levels, watching with glowing eyes and silent mouths. No one cheered. This wasn't a game. It was a ceremony. Ethan stepped onto the platform. It was smooth, made of dark stone. In the center, 2 circles glowed, one for him, one for Vex. Across from him, Lord Vex stood tall, armored in deep emerald plates. His tail thumped the ground, slow and steady. His eyes locked onto Ethan's. Kira stood just outside the circle. Remember, no weapons unless offered, no killing strikes unless challenged. If you break the circle, you lose. Think before you move. Ethan raised his hand. What if I faint? Does that count as a loss or a timeout? Kira didn't smile. The arena bell rang once. The trial had begun. Ethan barely had time to breathe before Vex charged. The alien noble was fast, faster than Ethan expected. He leaped, claws raised, teeth bared. Ethan dove to the side, rolling awkwardly. His elbow hit the stone. Hard. But he didn't break the circle. The crowd murmured. Vex turned, annoyed. Coward. Ethan stood, panting. Nope. Just allergic to dying. Vex charged again. This time Ethan didn't run. He waited. At the last second he dropped low. Vex flew past him, almost sliding out of bounds. Ethan saw an opening. He kicked the back of Vex's knee. The alien stumbled forward. Cheers erupted from a few corners. Kira shouted, "Good! Use his weight!" Vex roared and turned fast, swinging. A heavy tail. It hit Ethan in the chest. He flew backward and slammed against the stone, groaning. Everything hurt. The crystal in his chest pulsed. Warm, steady, thump, 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 like it was waking up. Vex stepped forward. "Give up, human, you were never meant for this bond." Ethan coughed. "You talk too much for a guy with a tail." He stood slowly. His back hurt, his vision blurred, but he didn't leave the circle. Vex growled. "Fine, then let me end it." He raised his claws and charged one last time. Ethan didn't move. He stood firm. As Vex lunged, Ethan let out the same roar he used during the trial. Grrrr! The sound shook the arena. Everyone froze. Vex stopped mid-leap. The glowing lines on the floor lit up brighter. The arena rumbled. The crystal's pulse grew louder inside Ethan's chest. Kira whispered, "It's happening." The sky above them shimmered. A glowing symbol, spiral with a tail, appeared in the air. The crowd gasped. Vex stepped back, shaken. The elders returned, standing high above. The horned one spoke. "The ancient roar has returned. The bond is confirmed. The trial is over," Vex growled. "But he didn't strike." "He didn't need to," said the elder. "He awakened the temple." Kira rushed to Ethan's side, grabbing his arm. "You did it." "I just screamed again," he said, dazed. "That wasn't a scream." She smiled. "That was the growl. Of the old blood." Ethan laughed weakly. "Can I go lie down now?" The crowd slowly began to cheer. Not loud, but enough. Enough to know the human had earned his place. But far away in a dark chamber under the city, a hooded figure watched the trial's end on a glowing screen. His claws tapped the table slowly. "The human is real," he whispered. "Then the war must begin again." Ethan sat on the temple steps holding a cold drink pouch that Kira handed him. His chest still buzzed with the aftershock of whatever he had just done. Above them, the sky remained quiet, but the glowing spiral symbol still floated high, refusing to fade. He sipped slowly. "So, just to be clear," I roared. "And now I'm what? A chosen champion?" Kira smiled and sat beside him. "No, not chosen. Recognized. Recognized by who? The temple, the bond, the memory of the old world." Ethan looked up. "The spiral in the sky. What does it mean?" Kira's voice turned soft. "It means the past is waking up." The crowd had left. The arena was empty now, except for the whispers echoing from far-off balconies. But those whispers were growing. Across the city, across the planet, news of the human who awakened the bond was spreading fast. Some cheered. Others prepared for war. Suddenly 3 guards approached. Their armor was silver with red markings, not the temple guards. These were military. One of them stepped forward. "Human, you are requested by High Council." Kira stood quickly. "He just finished the trial," the guard replied flatly. "And the council just declared emergency session. The return of a Greer is not a small matter." Ethan sighed. "Great. More rooms, more tests, more aliens pointing at me." The guards led them to a large air skiff shaped like a flying fang. As it lifted above the city, Ethan saw crowds gathering in the lower districts. Screens lit up with his image from the trial. The alien audience had never seen anything like it. He wasn't just news. He was the spark. Inside the council tower, the atmosphere was tense. The High Council was a circle of the most powerful alien houses. Each member had their own color, symbol, and agenda. Ethan was led to the center, standing on a glowing plate that hummed under his feet. A tall councilwoman, with silver feathers and piercing eyes, stood first. State your name. Ethan Carter. From Earth. I mostly mop floors. Murmurs filled the room. Another counselor with bronze skin like cracked lava spoke next. You claim no warrior history, no family ties to the old clans, and yet you roared. I didn't mean to roar, Ethan said. It just happened. Exactly. Kira stepped forward. That's why it matters. He didn't fake it. It came from inside. A short, spiked counselor sneered. Or it's a trick. A human trick to stir chaos. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Yeah, I totally faked the floating sky symbol with my sore throat. The feathered councilwoman silenced the room. Enough. We are not here to argue belief. We are here to understand what comes next. Ethan shifted his feet. I'd like to go back to the spaceport, actually. But Kira shook her head. You can't, not now. You growled in the sacred hall. You woke the old fire. That fire will burn across the stars. Suddenly, a massive screen appeared behind the council. It showed reports coming in from different zones. Alien mercenaries gathering in the southern skyport. The noble house of Vex calling for a challenge to the council's decision. Old warriors lighting the grrr flames again after centuries. Of silence, Kira whispered. You've lit the war drums, Ethan. He looked around. But I didn't ask for any of this. The lava-skinned counselor stood. You carry the growl. Whether you asked or not, you are now part of our future. Or our end. The council dismissed the gathering, and Kira walked Ethan through a private corridor. He rubbed his temple. This just keeps getting worse. It's getting bigger, she corrected. Not worse. But why me? Kira stopped and faced him. Because the universe forgot the truth. And sometimes it takes someone unexpected to remind everyone what still lives inside them. He looked at her, tired. And what exactly is living inside me? She reached out and pressed her palm against his chest, right over the crystal inside. The growl of the first bond, she said. It never left, it just waited. That night, while Ethan rested in the temple guest chamber, he woke suddenly. Something was off. He heard movement outside the window. Slow, careful. He stepped quietly to the wall and peeked through the blinds. And cow, assassin claws, mask, black armor. Ethan didn't think. He ran to the door and locked it. Kira woke instantly. What is it? Trouble, he whispered. The lights went dark. A sharp blade sliced through the door. Kira grabbed her staff. Stay. Behind me. The door exploded open and the assassin entered, but instead of attacking, he stopped. He stared at Ethan, then bowed, slowly, and whispered, The growl is real. Then he vanished into the night. Ethan collapsed against the wall. Was that a welcome or a warning? Kira didn't answer, because deep down, she wasn't sure either. The morning sky over Korzek was dark and heavy, even though no clouds were present. The air carried a strange pressure, as if the entire planet was holding its breath. Ethan stood shirtless in the temple's inner chamber, looking down at his chest in the mirror. The place where the crystal had entered him now glowed faint gold. Around it, strange marks were forming on his skin, curved lines, symbols, and one spiral with a claw-shaped tail. It's spreading, he muttered. Kira stood beside him, eyes wide, but calm. The mark of the first bloodline. It's older than the stars. We only know of it through stories. Ethan backed away from the mirror. Stories? What kind of stories? She walked slowly, choosing her words. There were once warriors who didn't come from our worlds. They arrived through a storm in the sky. Humans, but not like most humans today. Their voices shook the ground. Their growls made even beasts bow. Sounds like fairy tale nonsense. Maybe, she said softly. But the mark on your chest is no fairy tale. Ethan pulled on his shirt. Okay, fine. Let's say I am some kind of ancient descendant. That still doesn't explain why someone just tried to break into my room and then bowed before vanishing like a ghost. Kira's voice dropped. Because those who serve the old flame have been waiting, watching, hoping that a true grr would return one day. You just proved he has. Ethan slumped onto the edge of a stone bench. I didn't ask for any of this. Kira looked at him, her voice kind. And yet here you are, alive, awake, marked. Just then, the door opened and an elder entered. It was the horned one, Elder Tovan. He bowed respectfully. You must come with me, human. The chamber of memory is ready. What's that? Ethan asked, standing slowly. The place where the bond began. It may answer the questions you fear most. Ethan looked at Kira, who nodded. He followed the elder down spiraling stone steps, deeper beneath the temple than he had ever gone before. Torches lined the walls, even though there was advanced tech everywhere else. Down here it was tradition over technology. They entered a small chamber. In the center was a floating orb, silver, glowing, humming softly. Around it, thousands of small crystal tiles floated in the air. Elder Tovan motioned. Touch the orb. Ethan stepped forward. If this gives me a space disease, I'm blaming both of you. He touched the orb. The chamber exploded with light, not blinding but deep, soft, ancient. Suddenly, Ethan wasn't in the room anymore. He stood in a field of stars. In front of him, massive alien beasts roared into battle. On their backs, human warriors rode, dressed in glowing armor, shouting the same growl he had used in the trial. He saw Kira, or someone like her, fighting beside a human who wore the same spiral mark Ethan now had. Then the stars dimmed. Betrayal, fire, a portal, opened in space. The human warriors disappeared, pulled away from this galaxy. The bond was broken. Ethan gasped and stumbled backward. The vision ended. The room returned. He looked at the elder. That was real, wasn't it? Tovan nodded. Yes, a memory, stored in crystal, protected for thousands of cycles. But why me? Kira stepped forward. Because your blood remembers. The mark proves it. Somewhere deep in your ancestors, one of those warriors survived. Ethan looked at his hands. I'm not them. I don't have powers. I barely passed high school math. Tovan's voice was strong. You don't need powers. You have something better. Instinct, courage. And now, the growl. Kira smiled gently. And me. Ethan blinked. What? She stepped closer. You're not alone in this. You never were. I was born with the bond, but never completed it. Until now. He looked into her golden eyes. So, this isn't just ritual anymore, is it? No, she said, placing her hand over his chest. It's real now. For both of us. Suddenly, the chamber doors slammed open. A young warrior rushed in. High alert. Vex's forces are moving. He's calling the old houses to war, and he's declared the human a false grr. Tovan growled. Fool. He fears what's coming. Kira looked at Ethan. Then we must show them. Show them what? That the grr bond isn't dead, she said, voice firm. It has returned. Tovan nodded. If you go to the flame tower and roar under the star crest, they cannot deny your bond, but it will not be safe. Ethan took a deep breath. His heart pounded. He didn't want this war. He didn't want this responsibility. But when he looked at Kira, he knew. Running wasn't an option anymore. Let's go to the flame tower, he said. If I'm going to roar again, I want the whole galaxy to hear it. The flame tower stood at the edge of the world. It rose from red cliffs like a dagger pointed at the stars. Fires danced along its sides, never fading, never cold. Ancient flags flapped in the wind, each one showing the mark of a past grr. Most of them were faded, forgotten. And now Ethan stood at the base of it, just a human in worn boots gripping the handle of Kira's staff as the wind howled around him. Hundreds had gathered, not just nobles or elders, but workers, soldiers, old, warriors, even children. They filled the cliffside and the lower stairs of the tower, all watching, waiting. The sky was dim, clouds circling above like a waiting eye. Kira stood beside Ethan. She wore a cloak of silver thread, reserved only for bondholders who were ready to declare their purr to the stars. "You don't have to do this," she whispered. "If you walk away now, the fire will fade again, but you'll live." Ethan took a deep breath. "I don't want to live hiding. Not anymore." She smiled. "Then let them hear you." He climbed the steps alone. Each level was older than the last. The walls had claw marks, burn marks, names of warriors who had passed the trial and marked their place in the bond. At the very top was a stone circle. In the middle, a torch burned with a blue flame. This was the Star Crest, the oldest part of the tower, where legends were made or broken. Below, the crowd waited in silence. Even Vex was there, his armor glowing dark green, his face locked in cold fury. Ethan stepped into the circle. The wind pressed against him like a wall. The sky above cracked with distant thunder. Kira called from the steps, voice clear. "If he is false, the flame will fade. If he is true, it will roar." Ethan closed his eyes. He remembered the noise he made in the trial. Not a scream, not just anger. Something deeper. It wasn't about rage. It wasn't about strength. It was about heart. About standing up even when the odds felt impossible. He opened his mouth, and this time, he didn't growl. He purred. A deep, powerful, vibrating purr that echoed across the sky like a song wrapped in thunder. It didn't sound human. It didn't sound alien. It sounded ancient. The flame in the circle exploded upward. Blue turned gold, gold turned white. The fire became a column of light shooting into the sky, slicing through the clouds like a beam from the soul of the planet. The crowd gasped. Some dropped to their knees. Even Vex stepped back. Kira's eyes filled with tears. "He's real." The light reached space. Satellites recorded it. Ships turned toward the planet. Across the stars, old warriors felt it in their bones. The Gur bond had returned. Ethan stepped back from the fire, his face glowing with reflected light. On his chest, the mark had fully formed, shining like molten gold. But something else happened. The flame split in two. One branch wrapped around him. The other reached down the tower to Kira. She stepped into it without fear. The fire swirled around her, and then in front of the entire crowd, joined her light with his. The tower shook. A voice, not Ethan's, not Kira's, boomed from the sky. "The bond is complete." Everyone fell silent. Ethan looked down. His eyes now had a faint glow matching Kira's golden hue. She slowly climbed to meet him at the top. They stood together, and Kira purred, loud and clear. Ethan smiled. This time he didn't need to roar. He just whispered back, "I hear you." The entire mountain echoed with the sound of old drums. Kira leaned close and whispered, "You're not just a Gur anymore." "What am I now?" She smiled softly. "A beginning." As the fire slowly returned to its original flame, and the storm above faded, something changed deep across the stars. On a distant moon, hidden in shadow, warships powered up, an ancient empire long asleep opened its eyes, and in their dark halls someone whispered, "The Gur have returned. Prepare the chains." Back on Korzek, Ethan held Kira's hand as the stars pulsed overhead. He was just a janitor once. Now, he was something far more dangerous, something legendary, and he had no idea what came next. But for the first time, he wasn't afraid, because the purr had been answered, and the galaxy would never be the same.